Welcome to a powerful slice of Italy, because for 20 points in spring you can go ahead and grab yourself the 2014 Ferrari California T. Not to be confused with the older Ferrari California. From stock, this thing has 554 horsepower, 556 foot-pounds of torque, while weighing an incredible 3,813 pounds. This thing is a little on the heavy side, but I've got to say, is it going to be worth it? We'll have to find out. And also, the Cali T has an extra little hidden party trick as well, because if I press down on the left stick, you should see that hopefully, as I start talking, there we go. There goes the roof of this thing, a nice little convertible indeed. I've got to say, very, very cool indeed. And you don't see that on a lot of cars in this game, aside from I think maybe this and the Portofino are the only convertible Ferraris that have, you know, the roof that does that. But I've got to say, it does look very, very cool indeed. Going to the interior now, it does look pretty cool indeed, very reminiscent of every Ferrari at the time. And now let's go ahead and take a listen to this thing. There we go, sounding very, very nice indeed. Now let's go ahead and jump over to conversion, jump over to engine swaps and see what we've got. We've got ourselves a 5.2 litre V10, a 4.5 litre V8, and also the 6 litre V12 as well. And if you want, you can also go ahead and make this thing all-wheel drive, which I think we might do a little bit later on. Probably much to the annoyance of Italy. Sorry about that. As for aero and appearance, there really isn't too much you can do to this thing. You can go ahead and slap on the good old little Forza front splitter and tow hook, and then going over to the back, I'm going to assume it is, yep, it is everybody's favourite, the classic Forza wing, that I don't actually know if anybody likes. Although in the meantime, our mechanic Mac has been very, very busy at making this pretty cool S1 race build for us. Let's go ahead and bring up the share code. There it is. Feel free to go ahead and grab that for yourself. We're going to go ahead and do that and see what we've got to work with. So from that, we go to something very interesting. 3,240 pounds and nearly 1,000 brake horsepower all the way up at the top of S1. This is going to be mad. So those upgrades installed, we're now over at the paint shop. Going over to advanced colours, we've got not much in there. However, when we get to manufacturer colours, everything changes, because we've got ourselves a whopping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 different colours for this thing. 25! That's mad! And you know what? I'm going to put this one in bright yellow, because why not? Now this is going to be very interesting indeed, because I honestly think this is probably the first convertible Ferrari I've ever actually spent, you know, time racing. So I don't really know how it's going to work, but hopefully it works just enough to get us to first place across the line. But of course, there is only one way to find out, so let's get racing. And away we go. It is time to go ahead and take this thing onto the track with over 1,000 brake horsepower, and I don't even know where that one was going, but that was just a car that appeared out of nowhere. Right, first turn, how do we do? We've got a lot of power, but we do also have a lot of aero as well. And in fact, I think we've actually done, well, fairly decently in that corner, especially considering we're already up into 5th. Now, I had a little bit of a look online about how many California Ts were made, and the number is actually kind of interesting and a little lower than I think a lot of you might have thought, because the total number of Californias and California Ts made for the entire production cycle was only 17,300. I know it might sound like a lot, but compare that to the amount of cars on the road today, and that's really a small amount. And I've just wiped about £500 off the value of this thing from that wall hit. Speaking of value, while we go ahead and just casually take first place, these things currently in the UK are selling between anywhere from 70 to 170,000 pounds, which not only is very expensive, but also this in US dollar. So a question to you lot watching this video, do you reckon you go ahead and buy one of these things? And if you would, let me know in the comments, how would you customize it and make it your own? I'm probably going to get a Ferrari lawsuit for that, but oh well. In the meantime, 95% of the race, one more turn to go, the finish line is just there, and across we go with a very nice first place, plenty of space between us and everybody else, and a time of 1 minute 56. So that was quite a race indeed, and now let's go ahead and jump over to the backstage and take a look at this week's vote, because it does get very interesting. On the right, we have ourselves the Eagle Speedster and the Morris Traveller, versus on the left, the Morgan Aero GT and the Ford Wagon, which I think this week are probably going to get my vote, or apparently not. Either way, let me know what you vote for in the comments. Well, I was about to have a look at the drag tunes, but apparently the game's got other ideas, so I'm going to go ahead, restart this, and I'll be right back. So after what felt like an absolute eternity, we're now back in the good old Horizon Festival. Let's jump over to the tuning setup, because we have got one waiting for us from Mac, which is this one, a nice little drag build. So let's go ahead, bring up the share code. There it is. Feel free to go ahead and grab that for yourself. We're going to go ahead, download and install and see what we're working with. You know, I feel like I've said that already. So with those upgrades, we're now set at 3,172 pounds in weight and a whopping 1,182 brake horsepower. This thing's going to be honestly a little bit insane. So here we're now over at the back of the festival. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of a wheelie check out of this thing. Into reverse, into first, and away we go! Oh, this thing's pretty cool. To be honest, it held that for a lot longer than I thought it would. Man, I wish that's what my bank account would look like. Anyway, let's go ahead now, put this thing onto launch control, and away we go. Let's go ahead and see what we can get out of the Ferrari California T. It's a little heavy, but then again, this thing boasts nearly 1,200 brake horsepower. I'm hoping for something good indeed. To the camera, 189, and I've even put the roof up as well for aerodynamics. And off the end of the runway at around 213 miles an hour. And as per every video, lack of brakes and terrible English. So that was a lot of fun, but now it's our turn to go ahead and throw everything we've got at this poor little car. So we're going to go ahead, slap in that 6-litre V12. We're also going to go ahead and make this thing all-wheel drive as well, much to the annoyance of probably half of Italy. And we're also going to go ahead and make this thing twin turbocharged as well, because our aim for this thing is a little bit of a top speed build. So I'm partway through upgrading this thing, and apparently the rear tyres can go up to 345s. That is actually insane. So I'd nearly finished building this thing, and I realised that the engine that I put in there wasn't the most powerful engine. Instead, it's something like this. Yep, that's a Lamborghini 5.2 litre V10, and I've got to say, hearing that sound come out of this is certainly something interesting. So after that upgrading spree, we have fallen just shy of 3,315 pounds with a whopping 1,215 brake horsepower, and we're quite a fair ways up into S2. Right, now it's time to go ahead and try and attempt to tune this thing, which is now a Lamborghini powered Ferrari, so I don't know what to expect from this thing at this point, to be honest with you, but then again, I didn't know what to expect from it to start with, so it should be very, very interesting indeed. Although before we go any further, here is this week's Forza Horizon shop, starting off with the Myers Manx, which you'll need for this week's weekly challenge, video on that out tomorrow. We have ourselves the Horizon Backstage Pass, the Nature Car Horn, which sounds a bit like this. Oh, nice. It feels like I'm stood in the middle of a field. Anyway, we also have ourselves the Ford Unicorn Mustang, the black dress up here, which is, well, an interesting design, I would certainly say that. We have ourselves the Horizon Super Wheelspin and the regular Horizon Wheelspin as well, and now out on the motorway. And now let's go ahead and play everybody's favourite game of how close have we gotten to the motorway grey, and today we have, well, we're not even anywhere near close. Honestly, it feels like I'm getting worse week on week. Anyway, here we're now at the edge of the motorway. We've kept the roof up for our aerodynamics. Let's go ahead, put ourselves onto launch control, and away we go. A pretty good launch out of this thing, I can't lie. But let's go ahead and see what we can do with over 1,200 brake horsepower. Personally, I'm hoping for something good out of this. And out the speed zone, 246.6 miles an hour, not too bad at all. And as you can see from the bottom right, we are still accelerating and getting this thing even quicker, which means the downhill and speed camera should be very interesting. Or at least should be interesting in theory. Although I guess now it's time to find out how much that theory goes into practice. 255 through the camera, going downhill, 260 miles an hour, 261, 262. Do we get anything more than that? 263 for a very split second. There is the motorway sign on the brakes, dodge the Jeep. Let's see how good do we get at stopping this thing. Come on. Okay, that was close. We're just going to ignore the other lamppost. In the meantime, now it's time to go ahead and try and throw this thing sideways. Okay, here's our drift zone, so away we go. Let's go ahead and throw this thing in here and see what result we get from it. We're going to keep it in second because that seems to be the best gear for this thing, and we're out of run number 1 at 38,883. To you and me, that's a lot of 8s. However, can we beat that going back the other way? There's only one way to find out. Chucking this thing in, going straight back down to second gear, very, very sideways, some may say even too sideways, and going out the other side at 34,608. So not great, but not awful either. Anyway, there we have it. That is the Ferrari California T. I've got to say, it's quite a car indeed. And if you get a chance to pick up one of these things, definitely go for it. It's only 20 points on the playlist and shouldn't take up any more than half an hour of your time to get. It's also especially good if you want something where, you know, on a nice sunny day, you can go ahead and just, you know, casually take the roof down. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed this, feel free to go ahead and like, share, comment, subscribe, all that cool stuff. And I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you very, very much for watching. Tech out. See ya. Convertible, nice view, what more could you ask for?